How you guys doing?
How's the health of Junior?
He's good now. I think he's 100% ready to go.
No COVID for him, though, huh?
No. He's good. no,
Uh,
no, he's
okay, so let's just dive right in then about Junior the game on Saturday, because it's something that we've talked about a lot with you, Coach, and that is this idea of Derek, locking in against the guys who maybe aren't the big names. That should not be a problem this week, right? These are the biggest names when you're talking about wide receiver. Yeah. How does Derek kind of get ready, or what are his feelings going into a game with a matchup against elite guys like this?
well. For him, it's always business as usual. But naturally, he had probably not one of his better games against Devonta Smith last year, and I know the competitor in Derek is he's ready to get back out there and continue that one-on-one battle that they had from last year, where Devontae had the upper hand. On a few passes, I can't count the two long passes. One was a trick play,
Mm-hmm.
another one was, in my opinion, just a poor defensive call. But Derek should have still covered it. But I think with him, it's all about just trying to compete and not give up big plays. Make sure that the other corners are ready to go because that's a young group in there. Naturally, Derek was the only starter out of that room last year that played in that game, that played some good minutes in that game. And the other guys would be freshmen or new guys to the scene like he was last year, and he can probably just help them with the overall, how big a game like this is now. I know the record is not good, and Alabama coming here with being the number one team in the nation, but it's still Alabama. You still want to beat them at all costs and play well.
The tension and feeling around this town is always pretty thick this week, the week of LSU Alabama. I was mentioning yesterday just being out on my sales routes and out on the streets and talking to local businesses. It doesn't have that feel to it from a competitor standpoint in Junior, in his point of view, and somebody who views the game through his lens and watches it in the point of view that you do. Does it feel like it's a big game week?
Well, I think it is. I think from a fan standpoint, because of the fact that they can't have that fan experience,
Yeah.
you can't have a full Tiger Stadium, you can't have the tailgating and all the things that come along with that. For them, they may feel that way. But as a player and as a coach, no, you're still playing one of the top teams in the country. You're still on national TV. You still want to go out there and dominate your opponent, not allow them to have any plays made over you. So for Derek, no, he's all dialed in. If I know the coaching staffs, they should be as well, and I'm pretty sure Coach O has those coaches ready to go because regardless if we play or not, well, if we do play, it's a big game. If we don't, then that's out of our control. We just move on to the next.
Can you take me back to his recruitment and what it was like between these two schools? Because if I recall correctly, was it Saban that would call him every day and tell him that he was the number one player on Alabama's board, and just to
Yeah,
see if he couldn't get him to at least flirt with the Tide? Can you take us back a couple of years ago, what it was like between LSU Alabama for him?
yeah. I mean, Saban was overzealous. He did a lot of things where he called as much as he could. He FaceTimed as much as he could. His recruiting was just overboard. But LSU always did a great job with Derek. Derek's relationship with Corey Raymond was outstanding. I didn't think anybody would chink that armor between him and Corey. And naturally Derek was dialed in here because it's the hometown team. So if you guys know, during Derek's recruitment, when he was in high school, he was at every LSU game. So I mean, for anybody to come through and pull him away from LSU, it would have been a surprise for me as well. But Nick didn't. He didn't stop. I remember at one point something happened within the recruitment with one of the coaches inboxed Derek and said something silly, and naturally I jumped on him and I got involved in it and came to the rescue. And then Nick Saban, he called me. He was like, "Listen, man, look. We really want your boy. Sorry that coach said what he said, but we really love him here. We want him to be here." And I said, "Coach, I think it's over. He said, Coach Saban said, he said, has he signed a letter of intent yet? And I was like, nope. He said, well, then it's not over. So,
Man, that's
Yeah.
good. Well, I mean, because the story goes, he told Hal Moore, who's the longtime Alabama athletic director who passed away, who hired Saban back to Tuscaloosa, or brought him to Tuscaloosa, the day that he got off that plane, and all the locals are flooding around him, and they're all like kissing and hugging him, is that he told Hal Moore in the back room, you didn't hire the best college football coach today. You hired the best recruiter in college football. So it gave you an idea of what he thinks of himself. From somebody who was the number one recruit, did you view him like that?
I thought Coach O did more with bringing, just energy on the recruiting part of it. I mean, Nick Saban is up there as well,
Yeah, sure.
because it was as much as he could through whatever rules it was when you can contact a recruit. They were making sure that they were calling Derek a lot. And, Derek got to the point where he was like, Dad, I don't know. I mean, I got homework. I got to study. I said, well, then just tell him. You're indisposed at the moment. You'll get back to him when you can. So, but yeah, I mean, I think Nick Saban was real good at pouring it on the guys that he really, really, truly wanted.
Coach, let's once again then I'm going to ask you to put on your coaching hat here and kind of what you've seen out of Alabama thus far this season, and maybe, combine it with what you've seen out of LSU. When you're going against this offensive attack, you're not going to be able to stop them, right? You're not going to be able to shut them down, at least. So how do you try to mitigate it? How do you try to find success against the side of the ball that no one has had success yet against this entire year?
Well, what I would do would, because of the fact that Alabama is explosive. And they're explosive more in their passing game than anything. I would play too high and make them run the ball, because some of their offensive plays are like read options where, if the safeties are high, they're going to hand the ball off. So I would prefer Najee Harris or whoever is running the ball to just beat us. If you're going to have over 200 yards rushing, then so be it. But maybe you may not. But I don't want to give up 40, 50-yard, 60-yard touchdown plays. So I'll keep that under wraps and make them impatient. Put them under the center as much as possible to possibly they can make a mistake when they're snapping the ball if they got to have a 10 to 12 play drive. But I would take away the deep ball. I would play two safeties high. I would play man under. I would play inside to take away their slants and their quick reads. They have to beat me with the longer throws, like the outs and the corners. And they'll just have to beat me with running. And I just got to hope that my linebackers and my D-line can stop the run.
And then in terms of on the other side of the ball, Alabama's defense has maybe been a bit susceptible at times this year. I mean, I guess it's so tough not knowing who's going to be available, but with a freshman quarterback in TJ Finley, how do you craft a game plan around him?
I wouldn't hold back. There was a few teams that had success against Alabama this year with throwing the ball. I mean, Alabama's now trying to play a little bit more man than what they normally played in the past, and I think that they had a few big plays over them as well. They don't have those elite safeties as they had last year. I think they lost one of their top corners in Diggs. Sertan is a pretty good player, but there's other guys out there that hadn't been in the fire as long as him. I mean, just attack them. Especially with if everybody's saying what they're saying about, this game is lopsided. Why not just take shots? Just don't hold nothing back and go right at them. Sometimes, some coaches look at teams like this and say, okay, we're just gonna, play action or run the ball, play action just to get a big play. No, go right at the monster, go right at the beast, and see what happens. And maybe we may get a big player here or there, and we're out in front like we were last year. Alabama could be playing catch up, but who knows? I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't even know who's playing.
I know.
Well, we may not even play. So, I mean, we would hope for that type scenario to where we could jump out. But Alabama, they're coached well. They play tough defense, and naturally they're one of the top explosive offenses that's out there right now. It's going to be a tough battle, but hopefully Coach O got those boys ready to go. Who's ever playing, and we can at least make it competitive or possibly come out with a victory.
What's the competitive angle been like in the stadium from your point of view, just being in these stadiums with 10, 11, 18,000 people, both from a spectator standpoint and then in watching your son competitively?
I've been to road games this year. I think naturally I didn't go to Vanderbilt. I went to Missouri and Auburn. To me personally, I don't think that any SEC team has home field advantage because you just don't have that many people in the stands. It's not intimidating like it normally be. Now, with those two games that I went to, Missouri and Auburn, they were pumping in crowd noise. And I don't think that we didn't do that to the game where I went to South Carolina game, because naturally I went at the Mississippi State game. I didn't hear any crowd noise from our speakers, but other teams are doing that. And I thought that, I said, man, that's a little different. Like that, you can still, it's not very loud, but it's just, it's annoying loud. It's like sitting next to the band loud, like something that's just, okay, that's a little bit on the edge. But when it comes to fans and what the SEC experience is about, there's no home field advantage. There is none. It's still a 100-yard field, but it's just not intimidating. And naturally, we hadn't had, from what I'm hearing, we hadn't had 25,000 in the stands yet.
No.
So I don't know what difference it can make, but I think with players playing, you tone that out. Between every play, it's truth be told, as a player, you really don't hear things during the play. You hear it after the play because you're so focused and dialed in to where, I don't think crowd noise matters. I think just it's what's in you. Are you a competitor? Are you a true competitor? Are you going to play to the finals? And that's what these players need to do.
City Cafe, been in business for over 100 years, and they bring you our conversation each week with Derek Stingley Sr. every Tuesday morning. If you're out for lunch or brunch on Sundays, remember City Cafe on the corner of O'Neill and George O'Neill, online at citycafebr.net. Thank you, Coach. Good luck this Friday night. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Appreciate you guys.
Always.
All right, Coach. Thank you, man.
Coach Sting checking in. We'll be back with your mailbag questions. # OTB mailbag.